Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice 6-game NBA slate. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. We actually like this slate quite a bit. It's a lot better than yesterday's. However, we didn't manage to cash yesterday. It was really interesting slate. This slate is also interesting as the final game, which is the Hawks Jazz game, and also the Denver San Antonio Spur game, are the two highest totals on the slate by a lot. But I do think that Atlanta Utah game is going to have a lot of options as they seem like they're very fairly priced, whereas Denver is a little bit overpriced today. And the other games have very low totals, so there's going to be spit players from those games, but there's not a lot to like from those overall. I do think that there's basically a couple teams that will influence how this slate goes. That will be the Clippers and the Hawks. So to keep that in mind as we go. So let's get into this injury report here. For the Heat, Hero, Love, and Richardson are out. For the Pistons, Cunningham is questionable. Thompson and Grimes are out. For the Suns, Gordon is questionable. For the Hornets, Ball, Williams, Curry, and Martin remain out. For the Raptors, Trent Jr. is questionable, and Barrett, Boucher, and Podol are out. For the Clippers, Harden is questionable and Westbrook is out, but it does look like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will play for them. So do keep that in mind. Looking at the Pelicans, Daniels is out. For the Spurs, Osman is out. For the Hawks, we have Johnson and Bogdanovich both questionable, and then Okongwu, Young, and Bay are out. Bogdanovich looks like a great play today, but he is questionable, so we'll have to wait and see on him. Obviously, that's going to make a big effect to this slate. And for the Jazz, Markkanen, Clarkson, and Dunn are out. So looking at this slate, I do think we're going to look for a 270 to 280 expected cash line. Now, yesterday I was similar in the cash line expectation, but a couple injuries that were late added to the report really influenced it to go higher, and then it ended up being over 300 because we had several $4,000 players go over 40 fantasy points yesterday. So it was very interesting from that perspective. But looking at this slate, I don't think we're going to have too much risk of that. However, the Clippers situation could definitely call for some of this kind of situation. However, I will note that the Clippers players have come up a little bit in price, like Highland and Man are a little bit higher than they were yesterday. Now, Highland obviously was one of the guys that went absolutely bonkers yesterday, so do keep that in mind. If he was to move in and draw the start again, he would definitely be interesting today, especially if Harden gets ruled out. But Kawhi Leonard and Paul George both are going to be good to go today, so I expect him probably to be muted a little bit. Looking at this top overall plays, I do have two core plays, and a third that I was very close to is Bogdanovich, so I will put him in here, assuming that he does play. But let's look at Murray here for Atlanta. Now he has played very well with Trae Young out, and his price is coming up some. But I do think he's a viable option today against Utah, who's one of the weakest defensive teams against guards. I expect him to have an absolutely monster game today and pay off at this price point. And there's plenty of other good options around this slate you can pay up for him. So I definitely think he's a good option here. Looking at Talon Horton Tucker, now he's nice and cheap today, and he's going to get a boost. He's been a little bit inconsistent lately, but I do think he's going to get back into it today with the injury situation there for the Jazz with Markkanen out and Clarkson out. Clarkson's been playing the last few games, and that's kind of limited his minutes, but I do think his minutes will get back over the 20, and he should be able to pay off on this particular slate. He's also going to be fairly high usage. He does carry some risk, though, so we do want to make sure that he gets locked in there, but this game is one of the highest scoring games on the slate, or is the highest scoring game on the slate by a lot, and that definitely gives him some utility. Then we'll look at Bogdanovich. Now, Bogdanovich is going to get a boost because he's got so many guys out, and he's got a favorable matchup here. He's been playing very well as of late, and so he was. It looks like he's sick, so we'll have to wait and see. Uh, he did play in the last game against Portland, and he still managed 36 fantasy points. He almost got. He had singles, but he almost got close to a triple double in that one. I expect him to potentially play today and be a solid option, though he definitely carries some risk. As for these three, they're also probably the highest when it comes to the usage on the slate. I think Murray will probably be the highest usage. Talon Horton Tucker will be popular, assuming that we confirm that he's going to get plenty of minutes today. Looking at some other options today, we'll just do this in order of price. We'll look at Colin Sexton for Utah. Now he's facing Atlanta, he's going to be able to have a really good opportunity. These two teams are very bad defensively, so I expect this to be a high-scoring game, and guards from both shooting guards essentially from this game should be useful. Though Sexton is a little bit pricey, and so he's not a must-play, but he's definitely a decent one on this one. Terry Rozier is going to be getting a nice usage boost as he has the last couple of games, and that should give him some utility here, though he does have some boomer bust quality to him lately. He doesn't have as high of upside as he had in Charlotte because they play a slower pace, but he definitely has that potential today with several injuries here, and especially with Hero out. I think he'll get a little bit more usage as a result, though he definitely carries a little bit of risk today. Keontae George for Utah, another guy for Utah that looks really solid. However, his price is also a little bit higher, like Sexton's is. He does have that big potential, though, and he should get plenty of minutes, especially with Clarkson out and Dunn out, too. He should get plenty of opportunity here to pay off. I also like Michael Porter Jr. for Denver. Now, he has played inconsistent throughout the season, which is typical for him. He does have a good ceiling, though, and that is definitely a situation type thing here in a high paced game where there's not going to be much defensive interference. I do think he's going to have a lot of utility here, and he should play even if it gets out of hand. So he also scored almost 40 fantasy points to that one other game against the Spurs this season. I do expect him to be a solid play here. Now, a risky plays here at the bottom of the price ranges is Fonseca for Detroit. Now, he's been actually had some boom games lately. He does have that bad floor, and this is a tough matchup against Miami. However, he did score 34 fantasy points against Miami last time. He's very inconsistent, but he's been good against Miami in the 2 games that they played, so he has some utility here, and he's definitely worth a look. Though he's going to be a little bit low on the usage side, so he might be a sneaky play. Then we'll look at Jonathan Isaac for Orlando. Now he's very streaky as he doesn't play every game, but when he does play, he does have that 20 fantasy point potential, and he's nice and cheap here. He'll probably play about 18 to 20 minutes, and he's been getting about a fantasy point a minute most games, so he's very interesting from that perspective, but he definitely carries some risk as he typically doesn't do a lot of peripheral stats outside of a couple of rebounds and maybe a block shot or two. So hey, he's definitely a Hail Mary play, but he does have some potential today. There's a bunch of other guys that I do think have some viability today, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. Aaron Gordon, Bama Adebayo, Clint Capella, Devin Vassell, Jamal Murray, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Jovic. He's a backup for the Miami Heat. Paulo Banchero, Stanley Umed, Taylor Hendricks, Trey Murphy, Missick for Charlotte. That's Missick here. I'll just show you him real quick. Where is he at? Yep. The point guard for them, and then Zion Williamson. So we do have some interesting plays today, and we have some good base play. I do think that Atlanta-Utah game is going to be a huge source of fantasy output today, and I do expect that, especially with Atlanta being actually pretty favorable in their prices. They've definitely got some potential today. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.